Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. All right, today I want to talk about one of the great tour players right now. He's been there for a very young man, Jordan Spieth, and we've golf schools and even private lessons, and along with some of our certified instructors, I've been getting a few questions coming in about his swing and especially starting at this year's Masters, how he, in that third round, he finished it off by blocking the ball a mile to the right on 17 and 18 and bogeying both holes and dropping a 5-stroke lead to 3. And then naturally Sunday we know about what happened on 13, the par 3, where he hit one in the water and then dropped the ball and chunked the wedge in the water again and had some issues. And I diagnosed it as something very, very simple. So I sent, because a number of swing surgeons, certified instructors, and fitters called and or emailed me about it, I wrote a little note to them all. So I'm going to read the whole note really quick because the explanation is going to be easy after I read it. And this is what I said. I sent them a picture of Jordan Spieth, and it's one that came from the Masters. And they have him at impact like this. His left elbow is out here in front. It's bowed out here in front. Lee Westwood always also does this. It basically happens for one of two reasons. Either A, someone has moved forward too far, and if they straightened out their arm coming down, they would definitely hit the ball chunky or thin coming through. So they're trying to drive down, because Jordan does seem to have a good shift to start his downswing, but he gets forward. Lee Westwood on the other part, I see Lee Westwood going down, which means if he doesn't get back up enough and he straightens his arm up, it's definitely got the chance of chunks to hit to thins. And as you know, in peak performance, we want you back here, right? We stop behind the ball, we get behind, and we have the lateral left shift, and we're behind so that our arms straighten out at impact. Today, almost everybody is slightly ahead. They got their hands leading, and they're hitting from here at the ball. So if this is the ball, they're most of the time coming in, the hands are ahead of the ball, where we're coming in and we're almost at a dead tie with the hands and the left arm and shaft in line at impact. All right? And that's why we can take those nip divots, which the club ricochets off the ground, and we tear the grass out rather than going deep and digging out, okay, which is better for the wrists and elbows. So take all that in mind, and this is where I go. So that's the picture I'm talking about. He hits those blocks to the right with irons, and especially his driver, which happened yesterday, Saturday in the third round. This has happened back at the, I started writing something back then thinking I was going to send it to him, and then I eventually sent it out. You can see that his left arm is bent, bowed almost into the catcher's mitt position in the forward upswing. I mean, he's all the way out there. And it's only been getting a little bit worse as it goes on. And as you know, for the rest of this year, he's been playing very good golf, but he's having a lot of mediocre rounds, which are taking him basically out of the tournament and having a chance to win it. As compared to the first 2 years he was out there when he wasn't anywhere near this problem. He was still somewhat behind the ball. When he first started, if I put a line on his ear, all right down the side of his face over here when he shifted his weight, at the most, put it right on his ear, at the most his ear just got out. Now it's all the way back in here almost to his eye. That's quite a bit. You can see that his left arm is bent, bowed almost to the catcher's mitt position in the forward upswing. Also notice that his club face is wide open facing skyward, and his right palm is also somewhat skyward. So he's in here like this. As he's bowing, the club hasn't released, so he's coming through, and it's in that position. It hasn't come back. It isn't here going to there. This problem is naturally magnified as the club gets longer and thus has less loft. The longer the club, the less loft, the more farther the ball will be blocked to the right. Right? And that's basically where he's missing a lot of his shots as well as thins. These two problems of the bent left arm and the open club face are easily fixed with the PPGS swing. Number one, the cause is because his swing is too long to parallel. This causes him to EBRT, end of backswing reverse tilt, which causes his spine and his head to tilt forward and left and get ahead of the ball. In many cases, when you start swinging long, and you've reached the limit of your turn, and you keep going longer to get there, you've reached all your natural turn that you got, and you keep forcing it, what's it going to do? The club's going this way, the arms are going up and that way and hands are going that way, and what does it do? It pulls you slightly ahead of the ball. And so now, there you go. So he's getting ahead of the ball with his lift up to parallel, because he is a vertical swinger in the backswing, and pretty much so in the follow-through. Now that he's ahead of the ball, he has to bow or bend his left arm to make solid contact and not thin the shot or block it, which causes his arms and hands to under-rotate right palm skyward, and thus the club face is open skyward, and the ball in the right and flies right and longer, and it flies farther right and more farther right as the club's longer, because he's hitting the ball farther. The fix is real easy. Backswing, get it to 3/4. 3/4, vertical, club up in the air at 3/4 with his driver, everything. Make sure he stays on the same vertical plane he presently swings on. So, I just said here, I like his verticalness. He's just turning too much, which EBRTs him, which gets him ahead of the ball, and he never gets behind it again. He just stays there and gets even farther forward, as he does have a lateral shift. The less turn and shorter backswing will keep his head and spine behind the ball in the backswing and to impact. With his spine and head behind the ball, his arms can now both extend, be straight at impact, which will release the club square at impact and into the forward upswing, as seen in the picture. His square release to impact with full release to the top and the arms perpendicular to the ground. So it's going to get him back to behind the ball. The club comes in square. There's his aiming line. All right. There's where his ball is. He comes back. Right now his club face has been a little bit that way. It's going to come back square. As you can see, that's just about a right angle to the camera. And from there it goes into the forward mitt, toe up. Because look where he is at impact. He'll be here now instead of there. Here to there is a big difference. And then from there, as it's rotating up, the club's going toe up. The momentum's going up. If your club's going in the mitt this way, it's overextending too far that way and pulling you more forward. But toe up narrows the arc. There's a problem with golf. They're overextending in the backswing and the forward swing. That's for another day, another daily. It goes up in the mitt and straight up. So with that, he'll finish up to the tee finish, hands close to the air, recoil and relax. Jordan Spieth, in my opinion, is about that close. All right. Now I've heard him say that his teacher wants him behind the ball at impact. All right, which is PPGS. Well, he's not there. I mean, he can't see it himself. That is Jordan, but his teacher should see it. And it amazes me that if he's told Jordan he wants his head behind the ball, that should be popping out like a wart on his nose. All right, that he's ahead of the ball. All you got to do is just stand there in your mind and draw that line in. Just focus on something, and his head's going to be ahead of it. So I think Jordan is that far from being as good as he was when he first came out. And all it takes is hold the knees, wide knees, outward pressure. That'll stop the big turn. Keep it 3/4 and just rip it to the finish, which is there. But when he's behind the ball and he stays behind the ball, he'll be able to pop touch straight up, get to the finish. He'll start hitting more solid, straight, and longer. And he'll be back to good old Jordan when he was really playing great. And then with the short game he's got, and especially that putter, he'll be back on top of the world again. But as it is right now, if he stays like this, I see him having trouble. He's going to have trouble trying to stay in the top 5. And he could even slip farther down than there. But he's got great talent, and he's just a little simple fix. Just get back to pure PPGS. 3/4. He probably never was 3/4. He gets there, he'll even be longer and straighter. All right, well, that's it for the search for today. And I'm sure many of you have been asking the questions about, gee, what's happening to him? Well, now you know, and hopefully maybe he'll see this video, and it shouldn't take him more than 10 or 20 or 30 minutes to straighten this out and get back to just puring it again, hitting bullets. Okay, that's it for the search for today, and I'll be speaking with you all again soon.